In 1972, the Naperville Central High School Astronomy Club, which had existed on an off-and-on basis for a number of years, found itself with a number of perhaps overly enthusiastic members. Plans were developed not only to build a telescope for members to share, but also an observatory to house it. But the school wouldn't allow students to undertake either sort of project. Early in 1973, the students decided that to do the things they wanted to, including gathering to stargaze at night, they would need to form a club outside of the school confines. On Friday, March 16th, the Naperville Astronomical Association was spun off of the high school club. That summer, the students built their observatory, mostly out of donated and scrounged materials, including a silo dome. In 1974, the NAA still met as a high school-based club. The group's school sponsor, physics teacher Glenn Riley, died suddenly. Riley's widow, Ruth, donated his collection of astronomy books to the club. These titles became the nucleus of the NAA's now sizable library. In May of 1975, the club opened up to public membership and public meetings. The days of being exclusively a student club were over. In 1976, the club replaced the Loner telescope that had been in the observatory with a 10-inch reflector that members had built. With our own telescope in place, the observatory was dedicated in the memory of the late Glenn Riley. The monthly Focal Plane newsletter replaced an earlier club publication called Skywatch, which sometimes ran to 8 or more pages per issue. That year, the club also increased its public outreach activities, which have always been a cornerstone of the NAA. In 1977, the Riley Observatory telescope finally got a clock drive on its home-built mount. The 10-inch instrument would continue to evolve with added improvements for many years as funds and members' skills allowed. By 1978, club membership had grown to 28 individuals and 4 families, setting its roots firmly in the surrounding community. In 1979, the NAA organized a trip for about 70 people to successfully view a total solar eclipse in Canada. A program of regular public open nights was started at the Riley Observatory each Wednesday through the summer. In 1980, the club held an Astronomy Day event with lectures, films, and a gallery of exhibits featuring nearly 100 original posters, and repeated the event annually for the next 3 years. The NAA was the host society for the 1985 annual regional convention of the Astronomical League. Fermilab was the venue for the well-received event. January 1986, public observing sessions for Halley's Comet at Blackwell Forest Preserve turned out, by Forest Preserve District estimates, thousands of people. A few were a bit disappointed that the comet was a tiny smudge rather than a sky-filling spectacle. In 1987, the club took up an offer from the city. We supplied the cable, and the city of Naperville ran a power line to the observatory, ending 14 years of operating the facility on storage batteries. In 1988, the city notified the club of its new plans to erect buildings in the immediate vicinity of our observatory and surrounding the building with parking lot. In 1989, the NAA decided to build a new observatory on open land offered by the city on the south side of the Springbrook grounds. The Observatory Reconstruction Committee was formed and began to draw up plans for a new facility with numerous improvements, many suggested from the 16 years of experience gained in operating the original Riley Observatory. In the spring of 1990, the first Glen D. Riley Observatory became unusable because of the construction going on around it. The new observatory was erected, and by year-end, nearly finished by a corps of dedicated workers. The dome from the original observatory was moved, with the city's help, to the new building. In 1991, the refitted GDRO included a telescope pier designed and built by members, which can raise and lower the entire telescope and mount to achieve a more comfortable height for people viewing through the telescope. The new Riley Observatory saw first light in the early fall of 1991, and the facility was rededicated on October 26. Into 1992, cosmetic and finishing work continued on the new observatory. Grass seed for the lawn was sown on May 2nd, followed by a record 4 weeks without rain. Summer public observing was held again that year, after 2 years without a functioning club observatory. In 1993, a Riley Observatory public night, which coincided with the peak of the Perseid meteor shower, attracted over 250 attendees. Public activities continue to be focus of the use of the observatory. The club organized a trip for members to Central Illinois to view the May 1994 total annular solar eclipse. In the fall of 1995, 4 NAA members took to the back roads of northern Illinois on a search for new observing sites, which, by the following fall, would add the first 2 dark sites to the observing locations available to members. Comet Hale-Bopp put on a spectacular naked-eye show through the first third of 1997, and the NAA greeted it with a public program put on in conjunction with Fermilab. Ticket requests far outnumbered availability to the program. Membership in the NAA crossed the 100 mark for the first time that year. In 1998, the club's regular monthly meetings moved to the Naperville Municipal Center, their third and current normal location. The NAA's first website went online, and club membership doubled over the next 2 years. Public stargazing nights along Naperville's Riverwalk Park started being held as a regular feature. In 1999, club website version number 2 went online with an increasing amount of content. In 2000, a major observatory addition was proposed, making space for exhibits, the club library, and a second telescope. The monthly Astronomy Fundamentals program series began that year, and the Naperville Riverwalk Park's anniversary event was based upon a scale solar system walk, with the NAA providing the astronomy expertise. By 2001, it was discovered that the land that the city had provided us for the Riley Observatory was actually in the river floodway, and there's no building allowed there. The plans for an observatory addition were completely reworked into an again relocated Riley Observatory and a second, separate observatory building in a new location. In 2002, Astronomy Education Center construction began, with a foundation for the GDRO to be moved to, and one for the new DuPage Valley Observatory. the basic framing of the DVO building was completed. The Mars opposition of August 27, 2003, mistakenly advertised in the media as featuring Mars looking as big as the Moon, drew over 400 visitors to a Riley Observatory public night. In 2004, the construction of the DuPage Valley Observatory wrapped up, including moving in the club's library, which had grown to over 500 titles. Fine auroral shows like this one in 2004 reminded us of the benefit of belonging to a club where breaking news is shared by members. In 2005, NAA website version 3.0 was rolled out. It would earn the club the Astronomical League's Webmaster Award the following year. Also that year, the club started regularly holding Solar Saturday public sun viewing sessions along the Naperville Riverwalk, as well as the evening sessions that had been commonplace there. By 2006, we were ready to move the Riley Observatory to our new Astronomy Education Center campus, a few thousand feet away from its previous location. Plans had been drawn up to convert the front room of the relocated Riley Observatory into an exhibit area, and to create the video astronomy setup for the DuPage Valley Observatory. In 2007, the DVO project was tackled with the grinding of the 12.5-inch telescope's mirror and the assembly of the imaging system, which would allow us to share live views on screen of objects that had been visible through our visual telescopes in earlier decades, but by the new millennium had gotten lost in the increasing light pollution overhead. That year, the exhibits were also installed in the Riley Observatory front room, as well as a monitor there to view the images being captured across at the DVO. With the Astronomy Education Center up and operational, it was formally dedicated with a ceremony and open house in October of 2007. By 2009, the NAA was in its 35th year of presenting free monthly meeting programs open to the general public. By 2011, the NAA was in its 5th year of providing public stargazing nights at Cantini Park in Winfield. In 2012, club members approved a proposal to replace the Riley Observatory's 10-inch scope, which had served for 36 years and many thousands of visitors. The new telescope would be custom-made by members and designed to meet our particular observatory's needs to provide visual stargazing in an optimal way. In 2013, work began in earnest on the new GDRO 16-inch. Member John Abrahamian set to work grinding the primary mirror, which he would end up polishing to an amazingly precise figure. Member Drew Carhart would design and lead the building of the telescope, which would incorporate many unusual features, such as a rotating upper head, a Mount Palomar-inspired Surveyor framework, a mirror cell that pivots on a section of a bowling ball, and lasers to assist the operator in rotating the observatory dome. The telescope would be mounted on an equatorial mount that could be run via touchscreen control on planetarium software on an iPad. By 2015, we were doing more occasional TV spots, not at all aware of how much circumstances would be shifting us into the world of video programming in just a few years. "2017 offered the first total solar eclipse to be substantially visible from the continental U.S. since the 1979 eclipse, and the NAA had spent more than 3 years preparing for it by securing viewing sites for members in 3 different states. The morning of the eclipse, members headed to the 2 that had the best weather outlook, and the eclipse was successfully observed. In the fall of 2017, the Susan Carhart Outdoor Classroom was constructed to increase the usefulness of the Astronomy Education Center's lawn area for public outreach. A 2018 members field trip to Yerkes Observatory serves as a reminder that, in each of the preceding years, besides notable special events, there was a steady stream of regular club events, like monthly programming, gatherings to stargaze, and public outreach. 2020 and the COVID-19 lockdowns brought an abrupt change to the NAA's program offerings. The club adapted by moving monthly programming and some observing events to live, online streaming. What's next? It's hard to say, but the Naperville Astronomical Association has become a fixture in the Chicagoland area, and its future is no doubt written in the stars.